Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe, back again with The Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 5, Chupacabra. Much of it revolves around, of course, the legend of the famous goat sucker. This, of course, revolves much around Daryl and Daryl's story of having seen the infamous Chupacabra, which of course nobody believes. But the beauty is he gets to, when pressed if that is something he really does believe, or he believed he saw it, his response is, any different than seeing the dead walk? Good point, Daryl. It is a good point. Yeah, Chupacabra. November 13th, 2011 is when it first dropped. Guy Ferland, our director, and our writer, David Leslie Johnson-McGoldrick. And much of the episode, of course, we're, getting deeper and deeper into our stay at Herschel's farm. But mystery abounds. Mystery maybe that might be somewhat revealed by the end of this episode, which is, it just calls back to the good old days when you would watch episodes in their real time and get hit with an ending like this one and know you just had to wait a week. There was no way around it. There's nothing you could do about it, man. No DVRing, none of that junk, man. You could tape on VHS shows as they dropped, although by the time The Walking Dead, maybe we're not really recording on VHS anymore. Perhaps think back to the X-Files when we were recording. Those were the days. But much of it revolves, this episode revolves, it's got a lot of things going on about itself, but much of it is the search for Sophia really comes into focus more. They're giving out, Rick gives out grids, grid squares, so that they could divide up their search and be more effective. But much of this revolves around Daryl as he, without Herschel knowing, takes one of his horses, and of course he takes Nellie, Nervous Nellie. A few things really agitate Herschel in this episode, and you could just see we're headed towards some semblance of a, I don't know, confrontation of sorts, I think. But and you get one of his kids, who's 17, right, who basically tells Rick, yeah, Herschel sent me. He lies. That's another thing. Another thing is when the ladies want to cook dinner, and Maggie seemingly doesn't think it's important enough to tell him. It just is, it's like the third big thing in the episode, and you could just see it all over Herschel's face. Dude, he just wants these people out. But there is a new wrinkle, right? And that is the relationship between Maggie and Glenn that is going to just, create some havoc here. Because these are ties that Herschel does not want to see and he's fearful of, right? So Daryl is on Nervous Nellie, and as he's out looking, spots what looks to be a doll down in the creek bed, and we've come to find out it is Sophia's doll. And so he has found the first piece of real hard evidence that Sophia is not far from them, maybe closer than they think. Just saying. And a snake, which is harder to see watching it in black and white, is actually funny because it kind of melds into the leaves on the ground a little bit better. But the snake startles the horse, and off comes Daryl, and Daryl goes rolling down the hillside, like a mini cliffside. And of course, when he hits the bottom of the creek bed, he's got one of his arrows stuck through him. And rather than pulling that thing out, which Merle, who will visit him in a visitation of sorts, which calls to that, what's that theory? The third person theory or something like that, when people have near-death experiences out in the wild or whatnot, somebody happens, be it an angel, an angelic form, but in the form of someone they know. A lot of interesting things about that. But Merle's the one that can get him up on his feet and get him back up the hill. He is the great motivator, right? And so that makes for an interesting scene. And of course, Merle, man, just lays into him about, who are you? I don't even know you anymore. You're getting all tied up into this group. You care more about looking, yeah, awkward line when he says, what do you got to think for little girls now? Because Daryl is investing himself in looking for Sophia when he should be out looking for Merle. So it's, interesting layering in terms of Daryl, which I think goes back to that one episode. Well, it goes back to our first meeting with him, but remember the church, bikers welcome. It's interesting how they're layering and just moving. His character really seems like he is the great middle ground between Shane and Rick, where Rick still lives in the life before zombies. Shane has well adapted to the life post-zombies. And Daryl seems that weird mixture, man, of, I don't know, like, that's who you want as your leader, maybe, is Daryl. Neither Rick nor Shane. I don't know, it's interesting, the things that you start to see deep within, right? Anyhow, great transitionary scene, one of the best. And I love how the camera will just subtly back up to give you a hint that something is coming. And it does it several times in this episode. One, when he's in the creek bed, and of course, the camera wants you to know that there is a threat, and it does it like twice. There is a threat that is going to come out of the wood line, and it's not one but two. And walkers, and one of them, as Merle is trying to kick him awake to get him to get up, and in fact is a walker beginning to try to gnaw on him, which is just a really startling transitionary moment, which works perfectly. Ultimately, he is, as a result of the second walker, he's able to pull the arrow out, arm it up in his crossbow, and deal with him, and then get himself up the hillside, right? And then without the horse make his way back. Now back, Andrea has stationed her in Annie Oakley way, stationed herself up on the RV, tired of doing laundry, wants to start protecting the camp, is what she says. And she, from her high up post, sees a walker come out of the wood line, which ushers them. Now everyone knows the rule is, get Herschel. Herschel deals with the walkers. They disregard this. Think they're just doing Herschel a favor, and they go out. Rick and Shane and who else is it? T-Dog, someone else. A bunch of them head out. Well, Andrea decides to take it in upon herself and take the walker down with her rifle from atop the RV. And it's a good thing the sun was glaring really bad, because it's Daryl coming out of the wood line, who is just clinging to life and exhaustion, really. And, he appears as from a distance, clouded by sunlight and everything else, appears to be a walker. And, of course, she fires off a shot, grazes him, thankfully. Which, we're just adding wrinkles here, right, with the characters. But we, find Sophia's doll and the argument between Rick and Shane, just trying to cycle through my mind a lot of the things. Herschel will have a conversation with Rick about communication and just keeping basically them to themselves, and he'll keep them to themselves. Meanwhile, as we head quickly towards the end, you got Glenn and Maggie decide to meet up once more. She slides him, which everyone knows, and Herschel's not happy. Daryl's not happy because Glenn has confided in him. Of course, we do learn Laurie's secret too is officially unveiled, at least between her and Glenn. And the note is slipped, and basically Maggie's like, "Where do you want to meet tonight?" And he says, he writes down, "Have you ever done it in a hayloft?" Well, she doesn't read the note too much later. He's already out there, and of course, no one's supposed to go anywhere near this barn. Well, he realizes he can't get in from the floor level, so he climbs up, and as he comes in at the top, of course, the stench, and he, in horror, realizes there are walkers in the barn. Well, Maggie meets him up there, and of course, she's horrified that he's horrified, and that this whole thing is about to be revealed. And that's where our episode ends. Great place, man, but some great work with Daryl. Even as he is healing up in the bed in the house, and the words that Carol has with him in terms of Sophia. It just, some really good stuff are going on with the characters, and and you do feel like a lot of time the walkers are sort of the back burner to the character the characters that we're wanting to invest in are front and center. They're on the front burner. But it does make for some tense moments when you're not inundated with walkers every 5 seconds. And so it's working. It's really working. And again, the aesthetics of everything. Watch it in black and white. Look at it in black and white. It's a totally different feel. Again, with Herschel's Farm, there's just overall sense of Texas, man. You had to figure that was on their mind when they shot. They wanted that aesthetic. They wanted that feel. There was some horror hidden here on this farm, man. And it's about to get exposed big time. Okay, next week, you may see this come up on Monday. I may not get it up on Sunday. It's just still dealing with uploading issues. I don't know what it is. So, no later than Monday night, and this just may be something, I don't know. But enjoy October and enjoy all the content on YouTube. Enjoy AMC's Fear Fest, I think it is, right? And just all the other just horror throughout this month. It is our month, right? It is our month. As always, we end these things off with Go Dogs.
This is not a dream. Not a dream. It might be useful to you.